The next morning, I woke up before my alarm went off. Unlike yesterday, no heaviness pressing down on my chest. No hesitation between staying or leaving. Just a different kind of silence. Quieter, but not entirely at peace. I lay there staring at the ceiling for a few seconds, then got up, faster than usual. Almost like I had a purpose. Mason was still asleep, blanket pulled over his head. I tried not to make noise while changing, but just as I finished tying my shoes. "You're actually going to class?" I turned around. Mason was looking at me from beneath the covers, eyes half open. "Yeah," I said. He sat up, hair a mess. "Wow, a miracle. I can't keep skipping." Mason looked at me for a moment. Then the corner of his mouth curved up. "So you two talked?" I paused. "One beat." "Yeah. Everything okay?" I thought for a moment. Last night's images surfaced the way Oliver looked at me. That gentle touch, the first kiss. "Not sure," I said honestly. "But it's okay." Mason nodded, as if that was enough. "Good. Don't mess it up again." "I'll try." "No," he shook his head. "Don't try. Just don't run." That line was simple, but it hit exactly where it needed to. I nodded. "Yeah." The campus in the morning was the same as always. Busy, loud, full of people living their lives without knowing or caring that my world had just shifted a little. I walked the familiar paths, but everything felt different, like I was seeing it from a new angle. Or maybe I was the one who had changed. I arrived at class earlier than usual. The room wasn't full yet. A few people scattered around, heads bent over laptops or phones. I chose my usual seat, the place where everything had started. My heart beat a little faster. I wasn't sure Oliver would show up. Wasn't sure he'd sit next to me. Wasn't sure how we'd act around each other. The door opened. I looked up almost immediately. Not Oliver, just a few other students. I exhaled softly. This feeling of waiting was uncomfortable. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. The room gradually filled. Still no sign of him. A thought drifted through. Maybe he'd avoid me today, even though last night we had. "Is this seat taken?" That voice, right beside me. I turned. Oliver stood there, backpack slung over one shoulder, hair slightly disheveled like he'd rushed to get here. My heart stuttered. "Yeah," I said, a little faster than usual. "It's free." He sat down. Not too close, but not far either. A new kind of distance. "Hey," Oliver said. "Hey," I replied. A brief silence. Not uncomfortable, just unfamiliar. "You're here early," I said. "Yeah." "Didn't want to be late anymore." I smiled faintly. "That makes sense." We looked at each other, just for a second, but long enough to. I understood. Something had changed. Not lost, but clearer. The professor walked in. Class began. But this time, I couldn't fully concentrate. Not because I was anxious, but because I was aware of every small movement beside me. The way Oliver turned pages. The way he took notes. The way his hand would sometimes lightly brush mine when we both reached for the same book. Those touches. Small, but no longer accidental. And I didn't pull away. Midway through, the professor gave a short break. The room grew louder. Oliver leaned toward me. "Are you busy at lunch?" he asked. I shook my head. "No." "Eat with me?" A simple question. But this time, it wasn't just habit. It was a choice. "Sure," I said. He nodded, didn't say anything more. But the corner of his mouth lifted slightly. A small detail, but I caught it. After class, we walked out together. Not talking much. Just walking side by side. But it felt completely different from before. No longer vague. No longer maybe. We were here. Together. The cafeteria was more crowded than I remembered. We lined up, ordered, found a table. One in the corner. Quieter. Oliver set his tray down, sat across from me. 1 second. 2 seconds. We both laughed at the same time. "What?" I asked. "I don't know," he shook his head. "It's just a little strange." "I think so too. But not in a bad way," Oliver added. "Yeah." A pause. "But this time, It didn't need to be filled. Last night, Oliver began. I looked up. I wasn't sure I was doing the right thing, he said. My heart sank slightly. But I don't regret it. I breathed out. Me neither. He looked at me. Are you scared? That question. Familiar. But this time I didn't dodge it. Yeah, I admitted. But not as much as before. Oliver nodded. Progress. I smiled faintly. What about you? He thought for a moment. Scared too. Because of me? Not exactly, Oliver replied. Because if this is real, then I don't want to lose it. That sentence made my heart feel warm. And heavy at the same time. Same, I said. A silence, but no more words were needed. We ate, talked about ordinary things, classes, assignments, a film Oliver had just watched. But underneath all of it was a different current. Quiet, but unmistakable. When we left the cafeteria, Oliver slowed his pace slightly. So did I. The distance between us naturally closed. Neither of us said anything until his hand brushed mine. Not by accident. This time, I knew. I looked down, then up. Oliver wasn't looking at me, just kept walking. But his hand was still there, waiting. I took a soft breath. And then, I took his hand, held it a little tighter. Not too obvious. Not enough to draw attention. But enough so that we both knew. Oliver squeezed back gently. A response. A confirmation. And for the first time, in the middle of the day, surrounded by hundreds of people, I didn't let go. I didn't let go even as we turned onto a busier path. Not because I wanted to make a statement, but because for the first time, I didn't want to hide. That feeling was strange. Both a relief and a tension, like walking a tightrope not knowing where it would take me. You're trembling, Oliver said quietly, eyes still facing forward. I'm not trembling, I said reflexively. He squeezed my hand a little more gently. Right. Not trembling. I laughed, a short, slightly awkward laugh. Okay. Maybe a little. Oliver said nothing, but I saw the corner of his mouth curve upward. We slowed as we neared the dormitory building. Neither of us said it out loud, but we both knew. This was the point where everything could change. If someone we knew walked by, if anyone asked, if any gaze lingered too long, I let go first. Not sharply, not suddenly, just a small step back. Oliver didn't hold on. He didn't seem bothered either. Just looked at me for a second, then gave a small nod. Understood. No explanation needed. Do you have class this afternoon? He asked. Yeah. 2 o'clock. Me too. Same building? Yeah. I nodded. Then, see you later. Oliver stood there for a moment, as if weighing something. Then he stepped closer. Not too close, but enough to lower his voice. Don't disappear again, he said. A quiet sentence, but it carried more than I wanted to admit. I won tea, I said. This time, without hesitation. Oliver looked at me for one more second, then turned away. I stood there watching him for a moment, until the door closed behind him. That afternoon, I tried to fall back into my normal rhythm. Classes, notes, discussion. Everything unfolded like any other day. But inside, nothing was the same. I noticed I lost focus more easily. Not from boredom, but because every time my phone buzzed, my heart beat faster. Every time someone with blonde hair walked into the room, I'd unconsciously look up. Ridiculous, but true. When class ended, I packed up slower than usual. No rush to leave. Not quite sure what I was waiting for either. Are you waiting for someone? I startled. A classmate Lena was standing beside me, smiling. No, I hesitated. Nothing. She shrugged. Okay, you've seemed a little off today. I'm fine. Yeah. Everyone says that. Lena laughed softly and walked away. I exhaled. A little off. Maybe that was fair. I walked out of the building. The afternoon sun was gentler than the morning. The air was warmer. I looked around. No sign of Oliver. A small flicker of disappointment. Then, looking for me, I turned. Oliver was standing behind me, holding a water bottle, hair slightly damp like he'd just washed his face. I started. Then stopped. Maybe. He smiled, getting more honest. I'm trying. I can tell. We stood there for a moment, neither in a hurry to leave. Do you have plans tonight? Oliver asked. I shook my head. No. Want to go somewhere? Where? He shrugged. Doesn't matter. Just not here. I understood. Not the dorms, not somewhere crowded. Somewhere with less pressure. Sure, I said. Oliver nodded. 7? Yeah. Meet at the main gate. Okay. A simple agreement, but it felt like a step forward. I got back to the room earlier than usual. Mason was sitting in front of his laptop, one earbud in. Wow, you're back early, he said without turning around. Yeah. I set my backpack down, sat on the bed. Silence. Mason glanced over. Something happened. Nothing happened. You just said nothing happened with the face of someone who just survived a 3-hour romance film. I laughed. Maybe. Mason took out his earbud. Update me. I hesitated briefly, then said, We're trying. Trying what? Getting to know each other. Properly. Mason nodded slowly. Okay. And? We're going somewhere tonight. Oh, he raised his eyebrows. First date? I'm not calling it a date. But it is a date. You can think what you want. Mason grinned. Are you nervous? I thought for a moment. Yeah. Good. Means you care. I didn't argue, because this time, I knew it was true. At 10 to 7, I was already standing at the main gate. Early, of course. I leaned against a pillar, hands in my pockets, trying to look calm. But my eyes still searched the crowd. 7 o'clock. Oliver appeared. Right on time. As always. Dark jacket, hair slightly messy, walking at an unhurried pace. He spotted me, smiled. A smile. Familiar, but this time, meant for me. Been waiting long? He asked. No. Let us go. Where to? Oliver tilted his head. Just walk. I laughed. Sounds very trustworthy. You already came, he replied. I didn't deny it, because he was right. We left campus, stepped outside. The air was completely different. Less noise, less familiar, but also less pressure. Where do you usually go when you don't want to be at school? I asked. Oliver thought for a moment. Their essay place. Where? You'll see. I looked at him, didn't ask again, just walked beside him. This time, the space between us naturally narrowed. No touching needed, but not distant either. And I noticed. I stopped thinking about what I should do, stopped analyzing every move. Just being there, with him, and letting everything happen. We walked for about 15 minutes out of the busy part of campus, through a few quiet streets, where yellow streetlights cast down on nearly empty sidewalks. I didn't ask Oliver anything more, not because I wasn't curious, but because I trusted him, naturally. Finally, he stopped in front of a small cafe tucked into a street corner. No brightly lit sign, just an old wooden board, warm light spilling from inside. This place? I asked. Oliver nodded. I come here when I need quiet. We went in. The inside was noticeably warmer than outside. Soft music played a slow indie song I didn't recognize, but it sounded very Oliver. Only a few tables were occupied. The lighting was dim. No one paid attention to us. I liked that. We chose a table near the window, sat across from each other. A brief silence, but not awkward. Do you usually come here alone? I asked. Mostly, Oliver said. Or with people I feel comfortable with. I'm guessing I made that list. He looked at me, softly. Yeah. Just one word. But it was enough. We ordered drinks. Coffee for me. Something with vanilla for him. I didn't ask the name. Didn't need to. We talked. At first, simple things, classes, assignments, small things from the day. But then, as always, the conversation drifted deeper. I thought you wouldn't call back, Oliver said. I looked down at my coffee. Almost didn't. Because you were scared? Yeah. He nodded. At least you're honest. I'm trying to be more of that. I can tell. A pause. I took a breath. What about you? What do you mean? Last night. You said you weren't sure you were doing the right thing. Oliver leaned back in his chair. His gaze went slightly distant. I'm used to knowing what I want, he said. And usually, I don't have to wait long for an answer from someone else. I smirked. That sounds very confident. Not confident, he shook his head. Just clear. And with me? Oliver looked at me. You're not clear. I didn't argue, because he was right. And that bothers you? Yes, Oliver admitted. But it also makes me unable to walk away. My heart gave a quiet tremor. Why? He smiled faintly. You really don't know? I shook my head. Because you care, Oliver said. Even if you don't fully understand what you're feeling. I was silent. That sentence hit something real. And that S. Rare, he added. I looked at him. What about you? What? Are you clear about your feelings? Oliver didn't answer right away. He looked out the window. The streetlights outside reflected in his eyes. Not entirely, he said slowly. But I know one thing. What? I like you. A simple sentence. But this time, no longer a guess. No longer an unspoken implication. It was a confirmation. My heart warmed. Yeah, I said softly. I know. Oliver looked back at me. And you're still here. Yeah. A smile. Not wide, but real. We stayed much longer than I expected. Time slowed down. Neither of us was in a hurry. Neither wanted to leave. When the cafe started to empty, Oliver glanced at the time. We should probably head back. Yeah. We stood up. Walked outside. The night air was cooler. Quieter. We walked side by side. Not saying much, but not needing to. When we were nearly back at campus, Oliver slowed down. So did I. Does it feel fast to you? I asked. The question came out before I could think it through. Oliver looked at me. Yes. My heart dropped slightly. But I don't hate it, he added. I exhaled. Yeah. Me neither. A silence. We don't have to name it yet, Oliver said. I'm not trying to rush anything. Neither am I. We looked at each other. 1 second. 2 seconds. But I want to keep going, he said. Yeah. 1 step at a time. Yeah. This time. No hesitation. No half measures. Just agreement. When we reached the dormitory, we stopped. Neither of us went in right away. Do you have early class tomorrow? Oliver asked. Yeah. Me too. So, early night? He smiled. That sounds like something a responsible adult would say. I'm trying to grow up. Don't try too hard, Oliver said. Just be yourself. I looked at him. That sentence. Simple, but meaningful. Same to you, I replied. A brief silence. Not long, but enough for both of us to know. Neither of us was ready for tonight to end. Oliver stepped closer. Not too fast. Not too slow. I didn't step back. Didn't turn away. Just stood there. And when he kissed me for the second time, it was no longer a question. It was an answer. This time I didn't freeze. Didn't hesitate. Just kissed him back. More naturally. More honestly. When we pulled apart, we were still standing very close. Good night, Aiden, Oliver said softly. Good night, Oliver. He turned away. This time, I didn't feel a loss. Just something to look forward to. That night, lying in bed, I thought about the morning of the day before. The day I didn't go to school. And I realized, if I hadn't skipped that day, I might have also missed this moment, the moment where I finally stopped running. The days that followed weren't what I expected. There was no single official moment. No question like, what are we? No clear declaration. Just, we continued, seeing each other every day, sitting together in class, eating lunch together, walking together, and sometimes holding hands, small touches, glances that lingered a little longer than usual, late-night messages, sent for no particular reason other than wanting to talk. Everything unfolded so naturally that I almost forgot that just a few days ago, I had been lying in bed deciding not to go to school. Just because I was afraid of facing my own feelings. You're smiling to yourself. I startled. Looked up. Mason was standing in front of my desk, arms crossed. I'm not smiling. You are. And it's suspicious. I shook my head, trying to look normal. Just thinking about random stuff. right? Random stuff as in Oliver? I didn't answer. But maybe I didn't need to. Mason grinned. Okay, so things are progressing. I guess so. Guess? He raised an eyebrow. You two are practically attached at the hip all day. We're just spending time together. Yeah. Which is the definition of progressing. I didn't argue, because this time, I didn't want to deny it anymore, but not everything was easy. There were moments, small ones, but enough to pull me back toward the old feeling. One afternoon, as we were walking across campus, Oliver's hand lightly brushed mine. By instinct, I held on. But then, a group of students walked past, laughing, loud, and for some reason, I let go, faster than necessary. Oliver said nothing. He just kept walking. But I saw it clearly. The way his shoulders stiffened slightly, the way the distance between us widened. Sorry, I said quietly. Oliver didn't look at me. For what? I hesitated. I'm not used to it. A pause. I know, he said. His voice was calm, but not as warm as before. But you're not trying to get used to it either, Oliver added. That sentence. Not loud, not harsh, but heavy. I'm trying, I said. Yeah, he replied. I know. An answer I wasn't sure whether to feel relieved by or worse about. That night we didn't text. Neither of us reached out first. No clear reason. Just a silence. And this time, it wasn't comfortable. I lay in bed, staring at my phone screen. The last message was still from the afternoon. An unfinished exchange. No reply. I typed. Deleted. Typed. Deleted. Finally, I just put the phone down. Sighed. I had thought, after making it through that morning, things would be easier. But maybe, this was the hard part, not recognizing the feeling, but living with it, in the real world, under the gaze of other people, with fears I hadn't fully overcome. The next morning, I arrived at class early. A habit now, but this time, not because I wanted to, but because I didn't know what else to do. Oliver arrived later than usual. When he walked in, I looked up. Our eyes met, just for a second. Then he looked away, sat down, said nothing. The space between us, only a few centimeters, but it felt much further. Did you sleep okay last night? I asked, a familiar question, but it sounded strange now. Fine, he replied shortly. Right. Silence. The professor started lecturing, but I couldn't hear a word, only felt the distance, a distance that I had created before, and might be creating again. Midway through class, Oliver stood up. Where are you going? I asked, just stepping out for a bit. Do you want me to? No need. Quick. Final. I nodded. Okay. He left. Didn't look back. I sat there, staring at the notebook in front of me, but not seeing the words, only seeing a familiar feeling, the feeling of that morning, the day I didn't go to school. Avoidance, hesitation, fear. I clenched my hand. No, this time, I wouldn't let things go back to that. When class ended, I didn't wait. I stood up, walked straight out, looking for Oliver. The hallway was busy, loud, but I still saw him, standing at the far end, alone. I walked faster. Oliver. He turned around. His expression was still calm, but not cold. We need to talk, I said. No preamble. No hesitation. Oliver looked at me for a second, then nodded. Yeah. No deflection. No avoidance. This time, we both knew, if we didn't say it out loud, we'd be back at square one, and I did not want to go back to that day. The day I had chosen not to show up. We didn't say anything more until we turned into the emergency stairwell at the far end of the hallway. The place where few people passed. Quiet. Private enough that we didn't have to pretend. The door closed behind us. The noise from the hallway was almost completely cut off. Just me and Oliver, standing across from each other. Not far apart, but not as close as before. What did you want to say? Oliver asked. His voice was calm, but this time, not distant, just careful. I took a deep breath, didn't let myself hesitate. About yesterday, I started. I'm sorry. Oliver didn't respond right away. Just looked at me. I know I made you uncomfortable, I continued. And you had every right to feel that way. 1 second. 2 seconds. Yeah, he said. No denial. No softening. Just honesty. I don't want to go back to that, I said. Back to what? That thing where I take 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Oliver exhaled quietly. You think I'm afraid of that? I think you're tired of it, I corrected. He smiled faintly. Yeah, I am. I nodded. So am I. A pause. Not heavy. Just searching for a way forward. I can't promise I won't be scared anymore, I said. But I can promise that. I won't let that fear control me. Oliver looked at me, this time for longer, as if weighing, not my words, but who I was. That sounds good, he said. But I need to see it. I know. I don't want to have to guess anymore, Oliver continued. Don't want to wonder where you stand in all this. I understand. Do you really? Yeah. I stepped closer, slowly, without pressure, just closing the distance. Then let me be clear, I said. Oliver didn't move back, didn't move forward, just stood there, waiting. I like you, I said. Not halfway, not maybe. For real. He looked at me, unblinking. And I want to be with you, I continued. Not just when things are easy, but when it's complicated too. 1 beat, 2 beats. I'm not good at this, I admitted. But I'm learning. Silence. Not long, but enough for everything to settle. Oliver stepped closer. The distance between us now was 1 step. You know what bothered me the most? He asked. I'm guessing. Me. He laughed softly. No, it was the fact that you care. But act like you don't. I nodded. Yeah, I understand. You don't have to be perfect, Oliver said. Just consistent. 1 word, but clear. I can do that, I said. Then prove it. Not a challenge. Just a request. I didn't say anything more. Instead, I took 1 more step, closed the last of the distance, and I took his hand. Right there. In the stairwell. No one around. But also no need to hide. Oliver looked down, then up at me. His expression shifted. Softer. That's a good start, he said. I'm learning, I repeated. He smiled. This time. For real. Yeah. I can see that. A pause. But this time. No tension. Just stillness. Do you have another class? Oliver asked. No. Me neither. Good. Good. We stood there a little longer, neither in a hurry to leave, neither needing to rush away from that moment. Finally, Oliver pulled me slightly closer. Not much, just enough so that the space no longer existed. Are we okay? I asked, a familiar question, but this time, without the fear behind it. Oliver looked at me. We're okay, he said. And if you keep your word, we'll be more than that. I nodded. Deal. Deal. He tilted his head. You know. What? I almost gave up yesterday. My heart stuttered. Lucky you didn't. Yeah, Oliver said. Lucky you didn't let me. I smiled faintly. This time. I won tea. When we left the stairwell, neither of us was holding the other's hand. Didn't need to. But the space between us was no longer an issue. We stepped back into the hallway, back into the loud world. But this time, I didn't feel like I had to choose between 2 things. Not between normal and true. Not between safe and honest, but both, existing together. That afternoon, sitting alone in the room, I thought about everything. About the day I didn't go to school. About the fear. About the running. And about the way things had changed. Not because of one big moment, but because of small choices. The times I decided not to run. Not to hide. Not to stay silent. I picked up my phone. Opened messages. Oliver, what are you doing? I smiled. Typed back. Me thinking about the day I didn't go to school. 3 dots appeared. Then, Oliver. And? I looked at the screen. Then typed. Me, I think. That was the day I started living honestly. 1 second. 2 seconds. Oliver. Then. I like that day. I laughed. Softly. Honestly. And this time, I didn't want to go back. Didn't want to run. Didn't want to be the old version of myself anymore. Because I knew, no matter how difficult things ahead might be, I wouldn't have to face them alone.